time. Appreciate the time to jump on our call tonight. Welcome all of our guests and our business partners as well. For the next 4 or 5 hours, no, I'm just joking. So we're gonna go through this and explain. And as we go through, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Direct message to me, Robert Clay, and we'll get them answered for you after the presentation. This is mostly geared to our people that have not joined our service and are uh, investigating it, or that have just started and are trying to get a better idea of how it works. So for the business partners, if you have questions, we can take care of those at the end, towards the end, after we get our visitors taken care of. Let's see. So again, any questions, send them to me in the chat. If you are a member of Impact and you've had a good experience, or like a testimonial, go ahead and feel free to share that in our in the chat with everyone so we can see it, because that's one thing we gotta keep spreading the word, that so we can overcome the too good to be true part of this, because that's, a lot of people think this is too good to be true, and it's actually not. It's just people are not used to having these options. So again, welcome. And tonight our resident expert, Senior Vice President, Mr. Wayne Williams, is going to explain the service that we have. So thank you for being on.
Oh, Robert, I appreciate you being on, man. It's a tough life that someone's got to live out there in the Central California area of the United States. But to all of you that are joining us here tonight, whether you're from the East Coast, the Central, the Midwest, wherever you might be calling in from, I appreciate the time. And I'm sure your friend that invited you to join us here tonight to learn about and explore a different solution to the rising cost of healthcare. I think we can all agree the healthcare system has been broken for a very long time. And if you're in the position I was in at one point in my life, I received health benefits or health insurance from my job. But when I left my job, or corporate America, I was thrown into a world that just baffled me. And that was self-employment and needing to go seek out where to find health insurance for my family. I have 3 children, a wife, and myself. So we're a family of 5. And we're like, oh my gosh, where do I go? What do I do? And then I was shocked by the cost. We went to a carrier called Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we were spending over $2,000 a month for health insurance for my family of 5, and we had a $10,000 deductible for our household. Now, the truth is, my family and I, knock on wood, God bless, we've been very healthy and strong. We don't even go see doctors, for Pete's sake. But I was shelling out $2,000 a month for the what if scenario, that if something does happen, that I'm going to have protection or safety provided by an insurance company to help pay for and cover my medical expenses once I've satisfied my deductible. Now, we're going to talk about here tonight, over the next 20 minutes, a program that will drastically change your availability and belief that you can secure affordable yet comprehensive world-class healthcare and actually solve the problem and go, man, I do have options. And for those of you that might be business owners, oh, this would be a godsend for you. Because if you're a small business owner, you and I both know, if you can provide workplace benefits or healthcare to your employees, that will create a greater magnet to attract quality people to work for you. You're going to increase retention of those valuable employees, which will make you more profitable as a company. So if you're looking at this from the perspective of a business owner, this is striking gold, because you're going to be able to finally offer a major medical healthcare plan in your small company that is going to be affordable both to you and to your employees. And if you're a person that's like, I'm Ryan, I've never owned a business, but I am self-employed, or I'm an independent contractor, or I'm an IT specialist, or I'm an artist, or I'm a massage therapist, I'm a professional, and I have to go seek out healthcare for myself, we are going to answer some significant questions for you. So as a process, I'm going to spend 20 minutes going through the program in its details. We're then going to go to questions and answers. The question and answer portion, as Robert had mentioned, is exclusive to those that are joining us for the first, second, or third time, where you're not already a subscribed member of this community called Impact Health Sharing. So it's going to be a time set aside for you to ask questions, no reservations. Ask anything you've got. We're going to help answer your questions and go through that, and we'll take it to that point of the presentation. But remember, if during the course of the presentation, as I'm sharing the details of Impact, if you have a question, shoot it over to Robert in a direct message, and he'll kind of compile all those messages. We'll answer them as much as possible. And then I see we've got some great guests on here tonight, and I'm sure we'll hear a couple of testimonials as well. So again, guys, my name is Ryan Williams. I've been part of an amazing company that brings to market services that are essential. One of the services we're going to talk about here tonight specifically is a product and service called Impact Health Sharing. And what we know is the cost of healthcare continues to skyrocket year over year. In fact, to date, people are spending more money on healthcare than ever before. And what's the solution? For the vast majority of us, we don't really have a lot of options for where to turn to find affordable healthcare. In fact, statistically, the average single person will spend $700 to secure healthcare for just themselves. If you have a family, it's around $2,000 on what's called the Affordable Care Act. It's also called Obamacare. It's also called the Marketplace. So the three names all mean the same thing. So if you turn to Obamacare, the Marketplace, or the ACA, that's kind of the pricing model you will see for individuals if you're not getting a subsidy for healthcare. Roughly 60% of people that file bankruptcy, sadly, do so as a result of medical bills. And sadly, a vast majority of those people have health insurance plans, and they still have to file bankruptcy because people have gone to what are called high deductible plans to try to get affordable monthly premiums. So the give and take here is generally the more risk you're willing to take in the form of deductible, the more you take, the less the monthly. The less you want, the greater the monthly. So there's a pendulum there. Now, what we do in this program is we're highlighting that everyone is searching for the same things. They're looking for affordable monthly cost. Mostly they called premiums with insurance. People are looking for affordable copays, meaning when I show up to the doctor, how much does that doctor charge me for that visit? That's called a copay. People want deductibles. I've already talked about that. People want flexibility of doctors. I know that if you look at your card, if you've ever had health insurance, you know that there's something called in-network provider and out-of-network providers. Well, what's remarkable about a program we're going to talk about here today is we eliminate that term altogether. So we don't limit you to a certain set of doctors or physicians that you can go see. Otherwise, you're penalized with higher deductibles, which is what is common with traditional insurance. And again, business owners, you know that you want to offer benefits. It's just normally been not available because it's too doggone expensive. So we're going to talk about where people turn looking for this type of healthcare. And the first place they would turn are what are called private self-funded groups. It's also called sharing communities. Now, Impact, the group we're going to talk about, comes from this first bucket. It's the first source of where people could turn to find affordable healthcare plans. Private self-funded groups, also called sharing programs. The second place people turn, it's called the Marketplace. I've already told you, Obamacare, Marketplace, the ACA, people would turn to government for healthcare. That is really important because there are people who have pretty severe health issues and they need to be able to find affordable healthcare, and that is the place that they are directed. The government, ACA, Marketplace, Obamacare is a safe haven for any and all people. Then there are people that go to bucket number 3. That's where they say, I don't want to pay any monthly premium. I'll pay cash as I go. Those are called self-pay cash customers. I did that for probably 3 years because I was so fed up with Blue Cross Blue Shield hitting me up for $2,000 a month. I'm like, forget this. I'll just pay cash when something happens. Now, short term, when you're young, that may be a good option. But as we get older, that's probably not a good long-term situation because eventually we all get sick and all need medical care, and one medical bill could bankrupt a family or a household. The fourth thing that people do, believe it or not, is they go get jobs. My mom lives in the state of Washington on the West Coast. My mom has been seeing a chiropractor there in her local community for many, many years. She and I were talking yesterday, and she said, Ryan, I'm really sad. My chiropractor is closing his business. He can no longer afford his practice because the amount that insurance companies are paying them for us being professional doctors doing chiropractic services, the amount they're paying us is not enough to keep our doors open. So we have to go close our office, and go get regular jobs because we cannot afford health insurance. As practitioners, as doctors, they cannot afford health insurance. Now, again, there are a lot of people that are in that situation. Those people that might be on between the ages of 55 and 64 before pre-retirement, some of you are in a job you hate and despise, but you won't leave it because you need it for the benefits. Well, we're going to liberate you here tonight. We're going to tell you that there's a way to get affordable health care that can allow you to go live the life that you want, because you're not going to be beholden to a job you don't want and you probably don't even financially need, but you're doing it just for access to health care. We're going to provide that solution as well. And then, believe it or not, there are people that turn to licensed health insurance agents or brokers and they go seek out private health insurance, and that's a great option as well. But we're going to talk about Impact Health Sharing and how this affordable program is a real game changer. In fact, it's a revolution going on where people are flocking to these types of programs because of what it provides. Now, first and foremost, Impact is a nonprofit, member-centered program. It's a sharing community. So there's about 17,000 people in our community that come together, and we pool our resources together essentially to help cover each other's expenses. It's kind of like insurance, but it's a non-insurance product. So we provide comprehensive major medical care. That's everything from aches and sprains, coughs and sneezes, broken bones, cancer, leukemia. So it is a full-blown major medical plan. There's nothing left outside the box. So everything is able to be kept in this. We do not have network restrictions. So we don't have an in-network or an out-of-network. You can go see any physician, any doctor that you would like to go see. So if you happen to contract a medical condition and you want to go see your region's greatest orthopedic surgeon, go see them. Seek treatment from whoever you want. That's convenient. Like, I love the fact that I was liberated to go get treatment from the provider I chose to go see rather than being directed based on network restrictions of who I could go see. We have access in this program for unlimited free telemedicine. I used this yesterday. I have twin boys that are 15, and both of them do year-round swimming, and we live in the state of Ohio. So they go from indoor hot pools to outdoor with, obviously, because they're children, no jackets or sweatshirts or anything else, and they're dripping wet. And so they get sinus infections and chest colds. So rather than scheduling an appointment with a pediatrician or my primary care doctor, I used telemedicine, the ability to talk to a doctor live 24 hours a day, talk to a doctor, explain the symptoms of my children, and they said, hey, sounds like your kids have a sinus infection and chest cold. Let me order you an antibiotic. So telemedicine is the convenience of a doctor from anywhere, anytime, from your own home. I loved it. I didn't have to go sit in a clinic, wait in a waiting room, fill out a bunch of nonsensical paperwork. We got the care and treatment we needed. And what did it cost me? Nothing. It was a free visit. The prescription, when I went and picked it up from my local pharmacy, was 15 bucks. It was awesome. So that means all prescriptions are going to be discounted through our program, very similar to GoodRx, except our prescription plan is private to our community. GoodRx, anyone can use. Our program is exclusive to our group of people within Impact, but we have a great prescription program or plan. Our monthly costs are between 30 to 50% less than traditional insurance. Our provider fees, which is similar to like a copay, are less. And our annual responsibilities, we call it a primary responsibility amount, or PRA, instead of a deductible. Because it's not insurance, we don't try to use insurance-y terms. But we have some tremendous advantages that normal insurance doesn't have, such as something called a health and wellness credit, where our program values people that try to live a proactive, healthy life through taking vitamins, supplements, use homeopathic things like red light therapy, acupuncture, massages, IV therapy. There's a myriad of things you can do to seek out gym memberships, fitness apps. And our program will allow you to apply $150 a month towards your annual PRA or deductible per month, per household, for expenses for any of those things. That is revolutionary, essentially lowering your deductible or annual responsibility for just spending money on what you're already spending money on, but it's at least being applied somewhere. We also have an amazing dental and vision program I'll talk about very briefly, and we negotiate all medical services to try to get the best price. So when you look at the conveniences of this program, you will be blown away comparing it side by side as we have in the little picture here. A low annual co-insurance, or what we call a co-share, of 90% paid for by the community, 10% by you. Maximum out-of-pockets of $7,500 for the entire household or family. Reasonable provider fees, kind of like copays. This is incredible, folks. Now, as I talked about this, the health and wellness credit is a game changer because of what it's allowing you and I to get credit for. Gym memberships, fitness apps, and everything else I've already talked about. I choose to use my health and wellness credit from IV therapy, red light, and my gym memberships. So we simply submit receipts to Impact and the community that we've spent money to live a healthy lifestyle. And as a result, Impact applies that money we spend against our annual responsibility or our deductible. It's incredible. So essentially, we're able to chop our deductible in half by the proactive healthy lifestyle options, which is great. Now, the dental and vision program, this is really cool. This is also included in the program. It is not an additional cost. It is automatically woven into the program. This is not dental and vision insurance. It is a dental and vision discount program already included in the program. What does that mean? Well, what it means is the dental and vision treatments you might seek out are pre-negotiated what you will spend. So Impact has created a relationship with a group called Carrington. Carrington is a dental community. There's 175,000 dentists in the community of Carrington, wherein every one of you in the city and state you're calling in from can go to a dentist in your local community, and there's pre-negotiated costs for dental services, as is illustrated on the little diagram in front of you. We also have that same agreement for VSP as a network of vision care. So you can go to a place and go get an eye exam, and the costs are pre-negotiated. So again, it's not dental and vision insurance. They're dental and insurance discount programs that are already in this program, which basically means you don't have to go spend money on a dental and vision insurance plan for the most sake. Like, this is really awesome that all of this value is woven into a single program under the umbrella of Impact, which is awesome. Now, furthermore, as if you need more, everyone who joins the program receives a membership card. This ID card is kind of like your insurance card. You would present it to your doctor when you show up to your medical visit at whatever facility. On the front of the card has all of the provider fees, meaning how much you're going to pay them for that visit, whether it's $50 to your primary care doctor, $75 for urgent care specialists or outpatient services, and just $150 for an ER. I was talking with somebody who had a Blue Cross plan just yesterday. Their ER visit fee for Blue Cross was $500. I was talking to another individual on Monday, $750 was their ER visit fee for their insurance company. And I shared with them Impacts at $150, and they're like, holy cow. Now, to be honest, how many of you have been to the ER in the last year? Probably none of you have been. But the point is, if you did have to go, would you rather spend $700, $500, or $150? I'm sure you'd all say $150, right? God forbid you even have to use it. Now, the convenience is on the back of the card. This has all the information that doctor's office would need to bill Impact instead of a regular insurance company. Because mind you, Impact is registered in a national database of healthcare provider programs and groups. So we're a legitimately organized and established group and community with a dedicated number to identify us in their system. They just have to plug in our number. We'll populate in their system, and allows that doctor to send the bills directly to Impact, just like they would Blue Cross or any other insurance company. So it's a seamless process if the doctors are willing to simply input our information. So it's really, really cool how it works. Now, everyone in the program receives a free physical. That means a wellness visit. That does include $150 towards blood work or labs. Every single year, all of us get to do that. If you happen to be a woman on the line and you would rather have your wellness visit be at your OB, for an OB visit, then that visit can act in place of your annual wellness visit to your regular primary doctor. So you get to pick and choose kind of which of those. If you want to go to both, just know that one of them would be free and the other one would not be free. Pretty simple, right? So if you want to go to both of those types of checkups, you're welcome to do that, which is really nice. Additionally, all medical bills, as I mentioned, will be discounted or negotiated. We call that referenced base repricing. Now, this term referenced base repricing, by the way, is standard in the normal insurance world. There are major insurance companies that use this same standard to set the price that they will pay a doctor for their services. So reference-based repricing is a standard in the insurance industry. Impact uses that same standard to establish how much they're going to pay a provider for the medical services rendered. Here's an example of how powerful this tool is for you and I. A friend of ours, this is an actual friend of mine, unfortunately, out on the golf course, felt a pain in his abdomen. They went to the doctors. As a result of that visit to the ER, they were admitted. They were there for about 7 to 10 days in the hospital. They had major abdominal issues. What resulted from that 7 to 10 day stay was a $152,000 medical bill. Now, Impact was the only healthcare plan that he had. He was brand new to a state, having moved from Ohio to North Carolina. And he obviously didn't have to pre-check whether someone was in network or not. They just went and sought the care they needed. Now, if this person had decided to do self-pay or have no insurance whatsoever, they would have been dealing with a $152,000 bill. Impact received all of those medical bills in behalf of our member, and they negotiated that bill down to just $36,600. So that created a significant savings for this individual. Now, you realize our friend had to pay an ER fee of $150. They had a portion of their annual PRA or deductible that they still had to pay of $1,500. And then Impact started paying 90% of the remaining bill, and our friend only had to pay out of pocket an additional $3,000. So in total, what started out at $152,000, our friend only paid $5,000 for that entire procedure and medical event. Now, I'll be willing to tell you, I know $5,000 is still a lot of money, but let me tell you, that's a lot better position to be in than it would have been. Now, if I had the same condition with Blue Cross, my deductible would have been $10,000. So even if I had a major medical insurance plan with the same medical situation, I would have been out of pocket 10 grand with Blue Cross for an in-network emergency. So you'll notice that even though we're using a privatized group, the benefit result was better in this particular case than someone who has, quote, regular insurance. So again, you're not getting less quality just because you're spending less in monthly cost, which is awesome. Now, they're going to do some circles here. We don't need the circles because I already explained it. I already explained all this. I think it's just going slower. All right. Another example I don't need because I just talked about it. So we continue to do reference-based repricing on medical services. Now this program, this is critical. If you have a camera and a phone, there's a QR code on the screen. And if your screen, I hope, is not on a cell phone or a small tablet, if you would do me a favor and take a picture of that QR code, it will direct you to the guidelines, which are the explicit details of this program. It's written like a sixth grader, so everyone will understand what it's saying. But you should review and read the guidelines of this program because we accept anyone and everyone to come to the program, regardless of your race, education, nationality, none of it matters. Everyone is welcome to come to Impact. However, if you have medical conditions that are current, meaning you are dealing with some medical issues, those medical issues will not be covered or shared by our community. So they're considered pre-existing conditions. So pre-existing does not mean you're denied membership. It just means that those medical bills that will address in the future what are current conditions you're dealing with will not be covered or shared by the community. So pre-existing conditions is important for you to understand. Reading the guidelines will help you understand it. But basically, a pre-existing condition, this is in the orange part of what I'm reading here. Pre-existing medical conditions are conditions in which known signs, symptoms, testing, diagnosis, treatment, or use of medication occurred within the last 36 months. Very simple to understand. Please do not overcomplicate what this is saying. Here's an example. If you came and applied to be a member of Impact and you said, Ryan, I was on the pickleball court last week and I think I tore my ACL in my right knee. Will I be denied membership with Impact? No, you are welcome to come to Impact, but know that Impact is not going to pay for your ACL repair of your knee that was damaged before you came to the group, because that was a pre-existing condition. Now, folks, in real life, I've had 3-4 knee surgeries, 3 hernia surgeries, but all of my surgeries occurred more than 3 years ago. So when Impact asked, Ryan, have you had any surgeries in the last 3 years? Nope. Ryan, have you had an injury like a torn ACL that you have ignored? You did not seek treatment for. So basically, I still have a torn ACL, even if it's been 5 years. I would still have a pre-existing condition because I never addressed it. Does that make sense? So if you have a condition and has been addressed and you've gone 3 years of good health, then that condition is no longer considered pre-existing. So if you send a question to Robert right now, say, Ryan, if I have anxiety, is that a pre-existing condition? The answer is yes, because it's a pre-existing condition. It's a diagnosed condition. You're taking medications for that condition. So yes, it's pre-existing. Does it mean you're denied membership? No, it just means that medical treatment in the future to address your anxiety or depression or ADHD will not be covered by the program. That's all that it means. Now, if you come to the program and then you become diabetic, will Impact cover that? Yes, as long as it's a new condition. So any new condition, provided it's not self-mutilation, an elective procedure, or done through gross felonious malfeasance, will be shared by the community following the guidelines. So please do me a favor, read the guidelines, and if you have a condition or a concern, here's what you want to evaluate. If the condition I have, I'm constantly seeking treatment for, here are some ones I would tell you. If you have these conditions, you probably need to seek out another type of coverage. If you have Crohn's disease that is just going crazy. Unfortunately, Crohn's is a really difficult and very expensive condition to treat, especially in some cases. So Crohn's you want to be aware of. If you have diabetes that is not controlled or well managed, you probably should not be on Impact as the only form of healthcare. If you have fibromyalgia, if you have MS, if you have some really significant conditions that you're constantly seeking treatment for, you need to have another form of healthcare and not Impact. But if you have a family where you're the only ones dealing with a particular medical condition, it means the rest of your family can come to Impact and you might individually seek out a different type of healthcare that you might need, but you can still be included in Impact, because if you had a different type of new condition, Impact would still help treat or care that new condition, just not those that are pre-existing. Okay, take a breath. The reason I've spent time on this is I want you guys to understand this is important for you to understand for your own sanity. Impact is designed perfectly for the vast majority of people in the country, probably 70%, that are generally healthy, that live and have no major issues. And they're just fed up with paying high medical costs for care they don't really even need or access on a regular basis. That's the program for you. But if you have significant conditions and you're constantly needing medical treatment and care, you probably should seek out another form of healthcare, at least as your major medical plan, and allow Impact to be secondary if you have a large family, because you would be included for free. So how does this work as we are getting ready to wrap things up? Pretty simple. All that your friend needs from you at this point is they need the birthday of the oldest person in your family or household. And then you're going to choose how many people are in your family. The answer is 1, 2, or 3 or more. That's it. So if you said, but Ryan, I have a family of 5 people, what do I put? 3 or more, because the price doesn't change. So 1, 2, 3 or more. That's it. And then here's what populates your pricing. So you don't have to give a bunch of private information to find out what the pricing is. Your friend will send you a link to their site that will allow you to plug in your own birthday, select the number of people in your family, and then you're going to be shown this option. What level of annual PRA or deductible equivalent do you want? And there are four choices: 2,500 for your entire family, 5,000 for the entire family, 7,500 for the whole family, or 10,000. So again, these are not individual deductibles or PRAs, they're household PRA or deductibles. When you look at the middle column, it's called a co-share. It's very similar to what's called co-insurance. In regular insurance, there's something called co-insurance. Once you've met your deductible or PRA, you continue to pay 10% of future medical bills up to a limit of $5,000. So the family cap would be 5,000 plus whatever PRA you select. Pretty simple. So whatever PRA you select plus 5,000 is the worst case scenario of your annual medical out-of-pocket expenses. But when you look at the monthly cost, comparing that to traditional insurance, it blows them away. Again, I was with Blue Cross Blue Shield paying over $2,000 a month for a $10,000 deductible plan. When you look at Impact, I was able to lower my monthly plan to $628 for a $2,500 family deductible equivalent. Do you see the value that created for me as an individual purchasing my own health insurance? I was saving $15,000, $1,500 a month in premium. Whether I used my insurance or I didn't, I was saving $1,500 a month. Now that is awesome. There's a lot of really good things that I can do with $1,500 rather than give it to an insurance company for healthcare I wasn't even seeking. Now, why does this matter? Because your friend's going to send you a link to their website. This is a very quick snapshot illustration of what a single person would cost per age band. So based on anyone between the ages of 18 and 25, the cost remains the same for that entire duration of age. From age 26 to 37, the price remains the same. So if you seek out medical care, next year's cost won't be more because you used your health care. Unlike car insurance, if you get in a wreck, they raise your premium because you've gotten a wreck. Well, with Impact, we don't raise your premium or your monthly cost just because you used your health care last year. It's only based on age as you age up. If you happen to have a household of 3 people or more, here's an example of the illustrative examples of those people with 3 people per household or more. So really pretty quick, which is great. By the way, for those of you who are over the ages of 65, there's very few, if any, on the line here tonight. But if you happen to be over the age of 65, we do have a program for you, although you do have to be enrolled currently in Medicare Parts A and B in order to be eligible to utilize our program for those that are seniors. So you have to be enrolled in Medicare A and B in order to take advantage of our senior product. With those of you who are seniors, pre-existing conditions don't matter at that point anymore. So pretty much anyone can join Impact. Even those who have pre-existing conditions, you're not left to your own devices. Impact is still going to apply their negotiating efforts in your behalf for medical expenses. So this is an example of somebody who came to the program back in 2023 that came to the program with a pre-existing condition. They knew that future medical bills would not be covered or shared by the community. They knew that. Unfortunately, that condition reemerged. Resulting was a $223,000 medical bill. Now, even though that was pre-existing, Impact didn't say, tough luck for you, we're not helping you out. Impact still fought for them. They lowered the bill down to $14,000, from $223,000 down to $14,000. So that individual member had to deal with a $14,000 medical bill, but I'm pretty sure you would agree with me. I'd rather be responsible for 14 grand instead of $250,000, right? Like that is an amazing benefit where Impact is still fighting for our people, even if it's classified as a pre-existing condition. So again, business owners, as we wrap this up, business owners, we can do and apply the same program to those of you that are businesses, and we'll single invoice you. So you'll get one premium monthly invoice statement for whatever number of employees you've got, from 1 employee clear to 49 employees. We can roll this into a single program. Those of you that have more than 49, you need to have a traditional major medical plan And then we can weave Impact into that program, but you have to have a very clever, smart, savvy insurance person who knows how to navigate that. If you run into that situation, you can reach out to myself or my wife and we can help navigate or point you in a direction of how to solve problems. If you have a company with 100 or 200 people, we have solutions to integrate Impact in with a major medical insurance program. That is case by case, so don't ask a lot of questions on that on the call here tonight, but we can service people. The ideal company, to be honest with you, is those companies with 10 employees and under. Why do I say that? Because most small businesses with 10 employees or less have never offered or don't offer insurance or benefits today. And the reason they don't is because they can't afford it. Because the average premium for a single person, for a small business owner, is $500 to $700 per person. That's why. And the business owner simply can't afford that. And they're like, I can't afford that. And if I try to pass on some of that cost to my employees, they're going to say no thank you, because they don't want $200 to $300 a paycheck coming out of their paycheck to pay for healthcare. But when you look at Impact, you see why it's so revolutionary. Because what a lot of you, even if you have a job, you look at your pay stub, and if your current employment gives you benefits, for the vast majority of you, realize those benefits are not free. You're probably contributing through payroll deduction for your contribution into it. Well, look at your stub and ask yourself, how much are they taking out of my check for my spouse and my kids to be on my plan? For some of you, it's $600 a paycheck, $400 a paycheck, $1,000 a paycheck. Well, when you look at Impact and you're like, the entire monthly cost is $600. If your boss paid half of that and you were responsible for half of that, you're both saving money on what healthcare costs. So now you understand why business owners are loving Impact as an option for them to offer benefits in the workplace, because it's better for both people. The other thing is this: when you literally set insurance and Impact side by side, for the vast majority of people, there's a glaring win on the side of Impact as a better option for most people. There are certainly some cases and some instances where traditional insurance is a better option. It is a better solution for people, but not for everybody. So look at them side by side. We've got lower monthly, lower annual, lower out of pockets, more networks, freedom and access to a lot of programs, vision, dental, health and wellness credits. When you look at the value of what Impact is really providing for you, it's a no-brainer for the majority of people that this is a better option. Now, if you like this idea, what should you do? Ask your friend for the link to their website. You're going to click Enroll Now on your friend's website. After you click in the pricing to make sure the pricing is exact to your specific age and household size, and then you're going to see the pricing, you're going to hit Enroll Now. And then you're going to answer about 26 questions about your health and health over the last 3 years. Because remember, pre-existing conditions matter. Not that you'll be denied access to the program, but to realize and identify what your conditions are. Now, mind you, don't lie. Don't have a condition and say, well, I just won't mark yes, I'll mark no, and they won't know. Well, that's true until you go seek medical treatment, and then they get your medical records, and then they find out that that was a pre-existing condition, and then Impact says, I'm sorry, Robert. Unfortunately, your medical records show you were being treated for gout for the last 3 years, my friend. We will not be able to pay for your gout treatment because you had gout, but you didn't tell us. And oh, by the way, Robert, because you were not honest on your application, and we believe in being honest, we might actually cancel your membership to the program because honesty matters to us. So just tell the truth, folks. Don't hide. Just be honest. It's not going to change your price. It won't change anything other than you just being honest. Now, pretty simple. How long does it take to go through the application process? About 12 minutes. It's very simple. You can self-enroll yourself. When will membership begin? Great question. Membership will begin the first day of the next calendar month. So we have open enrollment every single month. So year round, you can join Impact, and there's no contract. So if you need Impact for a couple of months, great. If you want Impact like myself and my wife for 2-3 years now, you can have it indefinitely. So Impact won't drop you as long as you continue to be honest and ethical and follow the guidelines. Pretty simple process, right? I love how simple this is. So when you look at it, you realize, wow, this is absolutely incredible. So that is the conclusion of our presentation on Impact. So I hope that it's answered a lot of your questions and help highlight for you why this is so powerful. I do want to bring on, and I'm going to bring up Robert Clay real quick as my co-host so we can answer some questions. But Kim Edwards, I'm going to put you on call now. I'm going to bring you up after we do questions and answers because you've had a lot of success working with individuals in your local community as well as business owners. And I'd love for you to share some of the insights you've had both from an individual level as well as small businesses, how powerful impact has been to really kind of shine a light on and give hope to some business owners to go, man, I can do this. So first I'm going to bring up Robert, and then Kim, I'm going to bring you on as a special guest to give us some experiences you've had. So Robert, what do we got for questions?
All right. Well, we have a few questions, which is good because someone's obviously very interested in getting started. One you just answered about when people can enroll. There's no open enrollment. You can sign up anytime. That was one of the questions. So let's see. I'm scrolling up here. Um, there is. Sorry, me and technology. All right. Okay. So if an employee or their spouse is pregnant, is it treated as a pre-existing condition?
Yes. So great question. So again, any condition, even pregnancy, even with regular insurance, by the way, is classified as pre-existing. So if you currently are pregnant, then that condition, if you are pregnant, is considered pre-existing. Now within Impact, all that they say is you need to be a member for 4 months before becoming pregnant, and that pregnancy would be then covered or shared. So as long as you're a member for 4 months before you conceive, then that child and that birth would be covered by the program or would be deemed shareable based upon the guidelines. So you don't have to be a member for a year, just you have to be a member for 4 months. So yes, pregnancies are available, but if you're already pregnant, you would need a traditional insurance plan to cover that pregnancy. And again, if that happens to be your situation, reach out and we can find a plan to help you out with that.
All right, I'm just gonna go in order so I don't mix them up because a couple of these are related. But
Okay.
I have Medicare A and B. What is the benefit of being a member of Impact?
So, great question for those over 65. We know that Medicare leaves a portion of medical expenses back on you to cover or pay for. So, Medicare does not cover 100% of medical expenses. There's about 80/20. So, 20% of the bill after Medicare handles it is kicked back to you as a consumer to pay for. Impact is there to help with that 20%. That's its purpose. So, once Medicare's done their deal, you get a bill back that says, hey, Ryan, you owe this after Medicare has processed your medical services. This amount is yours. Impact is there to stand in that gap to help pay for those medical services. However, Impact has a $1,000 annual deductible in that situation. So remember, the first $1,000 in a year of your membership would be still yours before Impact starts kicking in. So Medicare, you go get an x-ray, an MRI, a hospitalization, whatever, and let's say you get a $500 bill kicked back to you after Medicare's done their deal. What is Impact going to do for you with that $500 bill? Nothing. You're going to pay it. But Impact will recognize you've now spent 500 of your responsibility of 1,000 for that calendar year. Once you've paid $1,000 out of pocket for medical care expenses, then Impact's community, if that next bill comes in for $500 and you're submitting it to Impact, Impact says, oh, hey, Ryan, we recognize you've already spent $1,000. They are then going to pay that $500 bill for you because you've satisfied your annual PRA responsibility.
All right. Next question is regarding employment again. Is employer responsible for 100% premium and the employee payroll deduction?
So Impact is not insurance, but it can be recuperated through employee deduction payroll, but it's done as a post-tax, not pre-tax basis. So Impact can be deducted. The business owner is not responsible to pay 100%, although they can do a straight pass through. So we have lots of businesses that have run this different ways. What we have found most common is that the business owner has some level of familiarity with how regular insurance works. So in the regular insurance world, the business owner says, hey, Ryan, I'm going to pay 50% of what your premium would be if you were single. And if you want to add your wife and kids to the program, that additional cost is on you, right? So they do 50% of the single person's cost and they shift the balance of it over to the employee. Some companies do a 50-50 straight down the line where they're like, hey, I'm going to pay 50% or whatever the premium is for all my people across the board. So impact can be done where the business owner says, hey, I'm going to offer this, but I'm not going to pay any of the monthly premium. Because impact isn't insurance, they're not bound by any rules about how much they have to pay. So there's a lot more freedom for business owners to pick and choose how much of it, if any of it, they want to pay for. They'll get the invoice for it all, and their bank account will be drafted for the entire premium, but they can collect that entire premium back from their employees through payroll deduction, but post-tax, not pre-tax, because again, it's not insurance, so it can't be done pre-taxed.
All right. Also about BMI and smoking, how does that play into impact?
Great question. So individuals that use tobacco, or the way it works. So if you're a smoker, use tobacco, and whether that's chewing tobacco, vaping, or smoking tobacco, cigars or cigarettes, there is a $50 monthly charge for persons who ingest tobacco or smoke. So if you smoke, you're gonna pay $50 more per person. So if you and your significant other or spouse are both tobacco users, it's $50 for each one of you. So how that works is $50. As far as BMI, that's called body mass index. So individuals that are over 40% of national BMI standards are charged $125 a month for an additional cost to those individuals. However, if you quit smoking or you are able to lose weight and drop below that 40% threshold, then impact eliminates those additional costs.
All right. And then one question was about the 10%. So I read this, and if I have a doctor visit and pay the copay, is that all that counts towards the annual, the PRA?
Great question. So copays, or what we call provider fees, are not counted towards your annual responsibility or PRA. So those are just provider fees like copay. So a copay is not applied to your deductible or towards your the provider fee isn't applied towards your PRA. They're just out-of-pocket expenses that you will, even once you've met your deductible, you'll still have to pay your provider fees.
But the cost of that visit would be credited towards your PRA.
It's not credited. The
No,
provider fees are
the
not.
cost of the visit, not the provider fee. Like if your
So
procedure is $200
correct.
on top of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So if
I
the
think that's what I
question
heard.
is,
The
yeah,
question.
so if I show up to my primary care doctor and I walk through the door, they're going to charge me $50 because that's the cost towards my visit there. I'm going to pay that $50, but that $50 isn't even shown that I've paid it on my PRA or deductible, right? There's nothing credited there. Then if that visit results in a $200 charge for medical services, and I obviously pay that medical bill, yes, that $200 will be recognized as money spent and applied towards my PRA if it's not for a pre-existing condition. So again, if I had gout and the reason I went to my primary care doctor was to address my gout and there was a $200 charge there, that $200 will not go towards my PRA because I was having treatment for gout, which I had before I became part of the program. So again, money spent for medical services will be counted towards your PRA or deductible as long as it's not for treatment for a condition which is pre-existing.
You scroll real quick, make sure there's no other questions. There's no other questions regarding people that are new or that have questions. There's a couple others that can be addressed later. Um, okay, so there's no reduction of the doctor's bill for visits until entire deductible is met.
So I'm really glad you guys are asking these questions for clarification. So all medical bills for services you receive at a doctor's office have the ability to be reference-based repriced. Now, there are some times or some instances where a doctor that you go visit and you present your card to says, I refuse to interact with Impact. And if you want me to see you today, I want you to pay a cash pay cost of, make up a number, $200. So if you pay that $200 as a fee for a service, it hasn't been processed through Impact. So Impact hasn't had a chance to do any negotiation for price reduction. You just paid $200. So Impact says, hey, we really wish that doctor would have worked with us, but we recognize, Ryan, that you spent $200 for your office visit. And as long as it wasn't for a pre-existing condition, we're going to apply that $200 towards your annual responsibility, or PRA. Now, ideally, you're going to go to your doctor, you're going to present your medical card, they're going to bill Impact for the medical services. So let's say they bill Impact $1,000 for your medical services. Impact reprices that down to just $200. Again, you pay that $200 because that's your responsibility. Impact's going to credit that $200 you spent towards your PRA also, but Impact has done the negotiation, taking it from $1,000 down to that $200. So again, you are still receiving a benefit of being from the program even before satisfying your annual PRA or deductible. Yes, the program wants to work in your behalf. They want to lower those medical bills for medical services. As long as that provider will send the bills to Impact, they're going to do reference-based negotiation on every bill, no matter what. Whether it's pre-existing or not pre-existing, they're going to apply reference-based for pricing, marketing, trying to lower the bill, no matter what.
Uh, I think that answered her question now.
Well, that's perfect. I think this will lead me into, from my assistant who said, hey, bring up Kim because she has some great experiences with that. So let me bring up Kim and ask her to unmute herself and to share some of your experiences, Kim, about how you've been working with local people in your community, some business owners, and how you've seen Impact affect the lives of individuals, families, and businesses.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Ryan, I just love to, when I just say thanks, you're so clear and concise and thorough on this. And for those of you on the call who don't know, Ryan and his wife are over thousands of people and considered experts across the country in this field. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate every time you speak. So Impact was, my first introduction was, for our family, my husband, kind of like Ryan shared, we had had insurance through my husband's work, and then he lost his job, and we have a family of 5 as well. We were without insurance and without income. So a crisis that many Americans have been through. And we went to Impact, and we were actually, I'll just be transparent, a little scared because we have 2 of us in our family who have pre-existing conditions. So but we didn't have, honestly, an option because our Cobra was $3,200 a month for us, and we didn't have the money to pay for it. So with full transparency, starting with Impact, I shared with them everything we had. I actually did a spreadsheet, worked out the cost for all of their repriced services that we would need for the pre-existing conditions. And it turns out that it's even cheaper by having Impact for our family and pay the difference, the reprice difference on the services and medications we need, even for the pre-existing conditions. That's not for everybody, like Ryan said. It's important to make sure that we evaluate what those conditions are, and Impact can help you with that. But for our family, it's been a huge blessing. We pay $700 a month for our care. We have a few things that we pay out of pocket for, but Impact helps us reprice them. So with that, I started sharing with people. I started helping others who are in the same, in the community. Just it's a huge thing on people's minds right now. How are they going to pay the rising cost of healthcare? And so what I love about Impact is it's helping renovate the entire industry. It's really, really disrupting the healthcare industry. So after having done this for some families, I am in some networking groups. I had a vendor come to my house, do some work. This is such a great story that blossomed from our personal story, but we had a vendor that came to our house and did some work. And as his team was doing some of the work in the house, we started talking about his difficulty. How's business going? Oh, the toughest thing is getting great workers and keeping them. And he said, one of the things we struggle with the most is having healthcare and benefits that we can offer to people. And I listened to him for a while, and I said, I have something I might want to show you. It would be a way to have you look at healthcare for your employees that's affordable. And it's also quite comprehensive. Would you be interested? So we had another meeting, took a look. I looked at his entire staff, and gave him a quote for what it would be to cover his entire staff, all of his employees, 8 employees, with Impact Healthcare or health sharing. And he was blown away. And we did a spreadsheet, and with Megan's help, Ryan's wife, we did some adjustments. We did, if the employer paid 50% of the premium for just the employee, what if they did a nothing for 3 months? Then after 3 months of good performance, we did 25% of the premium. We just tweaked the spreadsheet real quickly. We built a retention strategy basically for this employer to think about it. He was so impressed and excited that he could think about offering a benefit for building, attracting and retaining great employees, that he sent what we did up to his corporate headquarters. It's the local franchise here in Colorado. The national headquarters was very intrigued with this. And so with Ryan and Megan, for about 6 months, we went through a vetting process for the national headquarters for a franchise that has almost 300 franchises around the country. And they did their due diligence. They had heard of health sharing. They were looking at several. They compared Impact side by side, even with traditional health insurance. And after 6 months of talking with their head of HR at the national level and the president of the company, they decided we were their preferred partner. So I have been working with Megan and Ryan to introduce Impact Health Sharing to franchise owners across the country in this chain. We have now been working, we've got about 33 franchises that we're working with, from 2 to 15 employees. We're doing quotes with them. We're helping them to think through how to strategize their business in slow seasons even. What if we do this much when they've been on board for a year? What about the family? How much do we want to cover? It's been so inspiring to give hope to business owners who have been struggling so much and just feel like they're clunking along. They can't really get competitive and attract great employees. And they're so excited. And I remember the 3 things the head of the HR said, the reason they chose us and we're so excited about Impact was, yes, it's comprehensive coverage. It's great coverage. That's awesome. Yes, the rates are exceptionally affordable. So those things are 2 of the top. But the third thing that really they kept talking about was the flexibility, that this is something they can customize as a business owner in their growth, in their business plan. They can decide how much and when they want to offer this. Is it a straight pass through 100%? They just simply offer it and the employee pays? Is it something they graduate up and do as a retention strategy? It's also flexible if those employees leave the franchise. Unfortunately, they can take that policy or that coverage with them. And that was such a huge thing too for franchise owners, small business owners who don't want to be locked into thousands and thousands of dollars trying to pay healthcare for their employees. And that line item is so scary. So we're offering them something that's affordable, comprehensive, great coverage, and very flexible that we can customize to their needs. I can't tell you how excited and hopeful these business owners have been around the country, just giving them options to think through about how they're growing their business.
That's incredible, Kim. And so again, the takeaways are this: we're able to cut costs without cutting the care, right? So that's the adage behind this whole movement, is we're able to reduce the cost of benefits without sacrificing quality of healthcare that people are seeking out. And that's really where these things blend perfectly together. And again, to Kim's point, because it's not a traditional insurance product, they're not bound by the same rules that are imposed on them with traditional insurance. And again, there's nothing wrong with traditional insurance, and there's a right place and a place in the space for that at times, but it's not an automatic go-to for all people. And that's something that they really appreciated on that. So Kim, thank you very much. And by the way, congratulations on your continued growth within that community and continued success as we grow together this community. But folks, this is just the beginning of this movement that you're part of. See, there's 17,000 people part of the Impact community as of today. You go to the website and it pops it right up on the website. You can't even make it up. It's right on the website. 17,000 people are covered by this program today. And we're growing by the rate of over 1,000 people a month right now. 1,000 people a month are joining this program. But you know what? That is only a snapshot of where we're going to be over the next 3 to 5 years. This community will have over 100,000 people covered in it over the next 3 years. Why? Because the rate of acceleration of people just being fed up about the high cost of healthcare that is mediocre at best, taking on massive debt for high deductibles just to get an affordable premium that isn't affordable for Pete's sake. And then subsidies from the government are going to be reduced likely as well. And so people are going to be kicked off of government. They're getting subsidies, which is the only reason it's even called affordable health care. So they're going to need really affordable health care that isn't subject to income for getting health care that you can afford. So we are going to be a great haven for those individuals, for businesses as we continue to explode. Thank you all for being on. I appreciate you guys' participation. I will open it up just for a minute because we respect your time. If you're on as a guest and you had a question that you either have or weren't able to type over to Robert, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here to unmute yourself and ask a question if you have it. If everyone is good and appeased, then we'll say that the evening is over, and then I can answer a few questions of people that are existing referral partners of ours or have clarifying questions that they might need or want. But let's open this up for just a minute or two. If you're a guest on the line where you're looking at this, exploring it as an option for yourself, your family, or your business, and maybe there's a clarifying question you have, I'll allow you to unmute yourself at your own desire and ask your question. If you happen to be a referral partner, please don't jump in right now and ask a question, because we'll sniff it out pretty quick that you're not a guest asking a question. So do us a favor, please respect this time. So guests, if you feel so inclined, we'll open it up to you to unmute yourself and ask a question. My favorite part's if we do such a great job, people don't have questions. That's my favorite part, right? Is that people are like, no, I got this. This is pretty cool.
Hey,
All right. Well,
hi, sorry, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I've been asking a million questions. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
But I recently completed a stint as a general manager of a company with about 30 employees.
Awesome.
And we went through open enrollment. It was my first time going through benefits enrollment as an employer versus an employee, because you only see the deductibles that you pay as the employee, which is a pain in the ass when you are no longer an employee, because the power of numbers no longer applies somehow in the self-employed space.
Right.
So then you get to see the 100% of the premium, and then what percent the company chooses or can afford to subsidize for the employee. And in our case, I think we were at around 80-ish%. I was trying to bring down our costs. We changed the provider, but just comparing the premiums, because I know what the lowest plan was, the deductibles or the premiums here are a lot less. So as long as all of that is vetted out for like what the coverage is, who and you said the doctors, people just need to check that their doctors will take impact, because then it's not in network, out of network. That would be, the other consideration, because then it would be, okay, reducing costs, but are you going to be able to visit the same doctors? I'm just rambling, but I wanted to throw my observations in for that.
Well, great. And Dahlia, can I ask, what state are you in?
I'm in Illinois.
In Illinois. Fantastic. And can I ask, are you a guest on the line, invited by somebody?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm going to answer two questions you had, just to further kind of cast light into this conversation. I really appreciate your confidence to unmute yourself and ask, because we actually want people to do that. So again, it's not we say it, but we don't really mean it. No, we really want people to open up and ask questions, because you're right. Until you're behind the curtain like Oz and the Wizard, you have no idea what the actual costs are to it. So one of the questions you had is regarding the network. Well, here's what I can promise you. In the grand scheme of things, right, there's like 53 million or 100 million people. I don't know how many people are in the country, but there's a lot of people in the US. So when you look at a group of 17,000 people, Impact itself, our group says, hey, there is no limit, there is no restrictions. We don't have an in or out of network, meaning you can go see anybody you want. If you currently have an Anthem, a United Healthcare, an Aetna, if you have any card, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, doesn't matter who you have, they all have networks, and the networks dictate what doctors are able to be seen or not seen. And the penalty for seeing a doctor not in network is that the deductible you are responsible for doubles. So if you have a $5,000 deductible, your out of network cost is double that cost. So it's now $10,000 for an individual. The family individual in network's 10. If you go see a doctor out of network, it's now 20,000. So that's how they penalize you, is to funnel you into where they want you to go. And why do they do that? Because those networks have pre-established pricing arrangements between the doctors and the bills that they receive. So if a doctor bills for a certain procedure, like an x-ray, the amount of money that doctor has paid for that procedure has already been preset. That's why it's called in-network and out-of-network. If you go see a doctor out of network, that hasn't been pre-set up with them. So the amount they have to pay is generally going to be a little bit higher. Impact has no restrictions on who you go see. They're like, hey, we really don't care. So let me be honest, if you were to present your card at a local doctor's, or you called ahead and go, hey, do you guys accept Impact? 99% of them are going to say no, because they'll have never even seen a card that says Impact on it, because we have 17,000 people. So we're a small community or group. However, the question really not is whether or not they're aware of Impact. The question just simply is, are they willing to bill your provider? Because we don't have a limitation. And the truth is that doctor can bill anyone that they want for the medical services that they provide. We simply use reference-based repricing as the mechanism to know how much we're going to pay them for those medical services. Impact pays, and this is very detailed, by the way, but it's outlined in the guidelines, which I encouraged everybody to read. Impact is willing to pay the provider anywhere from 120% up to 180% of Medicare rates. So Medicare sets the floor. So for example, an x-ray, in the medical black book, Medicare will pay a doctor. Now these are fake numbers, so these are not real, but I'm telling you. So here's how it works. As an example, if you're a Medicare patient and you go get an x-ray at a facility, the government will only pay that doctor, I'm going to make up a number, $40. So the doctor only gets $40 for an x-ray. Now, if a Blue Cross customer comes in, they might get paid $80. So as a doctor, would you rather have a lot of Blue Cross customers where you're getting $80 reimbursed to you for taking an x-ray, or Medicare where you're getting 20 or $40? Well, obviously, I wouldn't want as many Medicare customers, so I'd have to see more patients to create revenue for my medical practice. Impact says, hey, listen, we know what Medicare is paying at $40, and we're going to pay you $60 or $80, just like what Blue Cross is paying you, because we want you to see our people. So Impact pays doctors fairly and they pay them quickly. That's what reference-based repricing does. So the question, Dahlia, if I'm saying your name correctly, is yes, you have the right to go see any doctor you want. There is a small chance that a provider would say, we don't know what to do with Impact. We don't know how to interface with them. But Impact has all of that stuff already figured out, wherein if you know you have an upcoming scheduled appointment, Impact has a whole team of people that will reach out to that doctor's office and create a relationship with them before you ever walk through the door. So they've already kind of ironed all that out, so you don't have that kind of interface. But yeah, there's a lot of tremendous benefits. So please make sure you get back with whoever got you on tonight. They'll get you in touch with someone like myself who's super knowledgeable at how it all works, and we can definitely help you explore kind of how this works and looks and all that kind of good stuff for yourself now or down the future, if that's fair.
Okay, thank you. Just one other quick question. If I know somebody and I know they have small business owner, they have pre-existing condition in their family, and they are, they're very conservative, they would want to know exactly, here are the bills I have, what would I have had to pay on Impact with these? Is that able to be determined if we take a bill and say, hey, these are going to be billed at, pre-existing condition rate, this is what you've had to pay, this is what you would pay, so it's worth it for you to switch?
So I wish that were possible. Impact doesn't do hey, provide us hypothetical bills and we'll tell you what we would have done for them, because it really is a negotiation based upon that. So it's a great question and a fair question. The answer is no, they don't do it like that. We just know that Impact is able to create the ability. The biggest advantage of them being with Impact is twofold. One, the monthly cost is a fraction of what it is to traditional insurance. And two, their out-of-pocket expenses for deductible, we call it a PRA anyway, but $2,500 compared to most insurance companies, that is a very low family deductible number. compared to what most people are going to pay. So again, at that point of where a carrier is going to start covering your medical expenses, we get there faster, plus the health and wellness credit. So again, the answer is no. They can't submit bills in advance and say, hey, what would you have done in this particular case? And just for one clarification, the ability for Impact to negotiate the reference base for pricing is not contingent on whether it's pre-existing or not. So they don't fight harder for you because the condition is not pre-existing versus is pre-existing. They fight equally the same for all bills, no matter what. All that really happens at the end is they determine whether or not that bill or that injury is new or whether it was pre-existing. And the difference is whether it gets applied to your annual responsibility or whether it does not. That's all that happens. So again,
Okay.
you're not getting any better or lesser services, even if what you're dealing with is pre-existing. They're just saying, hey, if you're going to go into the doctor and you get addressed for your gout, we're still going to fight all that we can, the same as if it was a brand new condition for you. We're not going to treat you with less care because it's a pre-existing. We still will fight for you to the best of our ability. But at the end of the day, if it's a $500 or $5,000 bill, that's on you. Like we can't pay for that because it was pre-existing, if that makes sense.
Yep, perfect. And just, I'm sorry, one last question.
You're good.
Is somebody able to change their deductible level throughout the year? Like maybe they want a less expensive deductible and go for the, I'm sorry, less expensive premium, go for the higher deductible. And then they say, okay, now I can, maybe pay a little bit more to have the safety of a lower deductible.
Great question. The answer is you can change your annual responsibility, like a deductible, once per year. So if you joined, like now, if you submitted your application in February 20th, your membership date would start March 1st. So March 1st of
It's
next
calendar
year
year.
would be your like open enrollment. And that's when you can make a modification to your deductible or PRA level of up or down. But you could add a member. So for example, let's say you adopted a child or you fostered a child or you had a child or whatever. You got married and you blended a family together.
Life event, yeah.
Yeah. So you can always add people to your program or remove people from your program, which will change the monthly cost. But what you can't alter is the deductible or PRA. That is set based upon whatever you selected when you became a member. So great question though.
Okay, and good to know that it's not a December year end, but it's a 12 month.
Yeah, it's 12 months from whenever your membership began. That is the calendar year that they're evaluating.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Love it. Great questions. Perfect. All right. Well, we have gone a little bit over, but I'm not sorry about that because this is rewarding, I hope, for all of you that are on here with us. So I'm not going to take questions from the group, or at least I'll say this. Those of you that are guests, thank you for being on. We don't want to keep you on forever. We try to keep these calls relatively timely in nature. We appreciate you guys being on. Go ahead and hit the end now button. I'll stay on for a couple of minutes and answer questions from referral partners of ours. If you have some questions, I'm not going to spend another hour, folks, but if you have a couple of particular questions you have that you just have been wanting answers for, and you're a referral partner of ours, go ahead and unmute yourself and I'll field a couple of questions for you. I am going to quit recording though.